You might think you know Nicolas Maduro as just the president of Venezuela. But that is just the mask. Behind the speeches lies a man living a secret life, worth millions. A world dripping in luxury, shadows, and questions that no one dares to answer. On the surface, his rise looks like the ultimate success story, until you stop and ask the terrified question, where did all that money come from? Today, I'm going to reveal a lifestyle so extravagant, it reportedly even shocked Donald Trump. Early life. The making of a survivor. Let me be real with you. Long before Nicolas Maduro ever tasted absolute power, people around him could already feel it. It wasn't because he was rich or famous, he was neither. It was because he moved like a man who knew exactly where he was going. Born on November 23, 1962 in Caracas, Maduro grew up on Calle 14 in Los Jardines. This wasn't a place for luxury. It was a working-class battleground where families lived on top of each other and life was defined by the daily grind. Why does this matter? Because children raised in the concrete of Los Jardines learn a brutal lesson early. Power is what decides who suffers and who survives. Inside the Maduro home, politics wasn't a theory in a textbook. It was real life. His father, Nicolas Maduro Garcia, was a fierce trade union leader fighting for the left, fighting to give power to the workers and the poor. His mother, Teresa, of Colombian descent, was the family's anchor. Maduro didn't just learn politics, he inherited it in his blood. As the only boy among 4 sisters, he learned to be a protector from day one. But the real turning point came in 1989, when tragedy struck. His father died suddenly in a car accident. Although young, that loss didn't break Maduro, it pushed him deeper into the very world his father had lived and died for. He attended Liceo José Avalos High School, where the fire for radical politics truly ignited. But then came the shock. Maduro dropped out. That was it. No high school diploma, no university degree, nothing. By all logic, without an education, Nicolas Maduro's future should have ended right there. But dropping out wasn't the end. It was the spark for a rise so quiet, almost no one saw it coming. The ascent, from the shadows to the throne. This is where the story takes a turn that defies logic. Nicolas Maduro didn't crash into power. He slid into it, unnoticed, while the world was looking the other way. It started in 1983. Before he held office, he held a gun, working as a bodyguard for leftist politician José Vicente Rangel. That job was his real education. It taught him something a classroom never could. Real power isn't brokered on a stage, it is decided in the dark corners of hallways. When you stand that close to influence, you learn fast. By the early 90s, Maduro went all in. He joined Chavismo, the movement built around the firebrand soldier Hugo Chávez. At the time, Maduro wasn't the star of the show. He was the believer, the shadow. The man who stayed close, listened intently, and simply waited. When Chávez conquered the presidency in 1998, Maduro's patience paid off. He was launched into Congress. By 1999, he was helping rewrite the nation's very constitution. From there, his ascent was vertical, almost unreal. He went from a lawmaker to president of the National Assembly in 2005. Then in 2006, the impossible happened. Hugo Chávez made the high school dropout his foreign minister. Suddenly, Maduro was the face of Venezuela. He traveled the globe, shaking hands with world leaders, speaking with a confidence that masked his lack of formal education. No degree, no diploma, yet he walked into every room as if he owned it. But the defining moment, the checkmate, came in 2012. Chávez appointed him vice president, placing him just one heartbeat away from absolute power. And when Hugo Chávez took his last breath in 2013, Maduro didn't panic. He stood exactly where destiny had quietly placed him. He took the acting presidency, won the election, and seized the crown. The high school dropout had climbed to the absolute peak of the nation. But while the world watched his power grow, they were blind to his personal life. Family, the command center. And that is where the real story hides. If you truly want to decode Nicolas Maduro, you have to look past the podium and into his living room. Because this wasn't just a family, it was a command center. I've analyzed this dynamic for years, and the conclusion is chilling. Maduro doesn't separate love from power. He blends them. It starts with the woman beside him, Cilia Adela Flores. Born in 1956, she was a sharp lawyer and a fierce politician long before she was a first lady. They met in the chaos of the early 1990s, when Venezuela was a powder keg waiting to explode. But one thing was undeniable. Cilia was already connected. She was respected. Unless you've been living under a rock, you can see the truth. From the very beginning, their relationship looked less like a romance and more like a strategic political partnership. Here's the detail most people miss. Cilia is older than Maduro, and that matters. She understood the machinery of the system while he was still learning it. When they came together, it wasn't just emotional. It was structured. It was calculated. They lived as partners for decades, but only officially married in 2013, just months after Maduro seized the presidency. Coincidence? I think not. That marriage didn't feel like a wedding. It felt like a sealed deal to consolidate power. But here's the shock. Maduro and Cilia share no biological children. Yet they have constructed a massive dynasty. Maduro brought a son from his first marriage to Adriana Guerra into the fold. His name is Nicolas Maduro Guerra, and remember that name because in this family, blood is currency. Cilia didn't come alone. She brought 3 children from her previous marriage to Walter Ramon Gavidia. They were raised under one roof, with one rule, moving in one direction. Make no mistake, this is more than just a family. It is an inner circle. Every single one of them was raised in the shadow of influence, breathing the air of authority, learning from childhood exactly how power is wielded. But if you think the family structure is intense, wait until you see the price tag attached to their lives. The billion-dollar lifestyle. Now I need you to slow down and really picture the life Nicolas Maduro actually lives. Real luxury isn't about noise or showing off on Instagram. Real luxury is about options. And Maduro lives like a man with the world at his fingertips. Let's look at the math, because numbers don't just whisper, they scream. On paper, Maduro's net worth is listed at a modest $2 million. But I'm telling you, his lifestyle, it screams billions. And when the numbers on the paper don't match the reality on the ground, that is where the dark truth hides. Have you seen where he sleeps? These aren't just houses, they are fortresses. Let's start with Villa La Caracola in Cap Cana, Dominican Republic. We are talking about an oceanfront mansion valued at a staggering $18 million. Yes, you heard that right. 2 master suites, balconies overlooking the endless blue, and access to world-class golf courses. Meanwhile, back in Venezuela, his reality is starkly different. His primary residence sits inside a heavily guarded military compound in southern Caracas. It looks controlled, but control is expensive. We are talking about thick reinforced walls, custom security systems, and private roads. When you design a home specifically to keep the world out, the cost runs into the millions. And how does a man like this move? He doesn't just drive, he rolls in armor. Reports linked to his inner circle reveal a fleet of high-end SUVs and luxury vehicles worth millions combined. The crown jewel? A custom Mercedes SUV priced at over $150,000. This isn't just a car, it is a moving fortress. We are talking about engines that roar and soft leather seats that massage away the stress of a crumbling nation. It's the kind of ride that feels calm, even when the streets outside are burning. And that is just one. Maduro reportedly owns a Rolls-Royce Phantom, valued at a cool $200,000. Believe me, every inch of that interior is handcrafted for silence and power. And when he needs speed, he steps into a Jaguar F-Type sports coupe worth $62,000. When these beasts hit the road, they don't just drive, they dominate the space. But for Maduro, the road isn't enough. He owns the sky too. His travel relies on 2 private jets worth tens of millions, a Dassault Falcon 900EX, $13 million, and a Falcon 2000EX. These aren't just planes, they are flying palaces. Soft lighting, wide leather recliners, and the range to cross continents without stopping. When you fly at that altitude, the world looks smaller, and the problems of your people feel very, very far away. But the cars and jets aren't even the most shocking part. It's his appetite. In 2018, the world gasped when Maduro and his wife were caught feasting on a steak worth over $1,000, served personally by the internet celebrity chef Salt Bae. While millions struggled, he enjoyed rare cuts and aged drinks, Luxury that doesn't just whisper, it insults. And finally, look at the wrist. Time is money, and Maduro wears a fortune. A platinum Rolex Day-Date 40, dripping in diamonds, worth $75,000. A Chopard LUC XP Urushi Ganesha at $33,000. A Hublot estimated at $40,000. These figures are mind-blowing. But here's the question I want you to sit with today. How does a man who claims to serve the poor end up living like a king? Is Nicolas Maduro stealing from his own people to fund this paradise? I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me in the comments below. And if you want to uncover more secrets like this, click on this card right now.